An. This chapter is from Jinbei's perspective. Words in italics will be his current thoughts. Enjoy. Jinbei dutifully trudged his way up the stairs as quick as his wide girth allowed towards the crow's nest of the Sunny. It was his turn to take over from Black Leg Sanji for night guard duty. Ensuring the safety of his new Nakama and their ship while they slumbered was a role he took seriously, and as a new and official member of the Mugiwara, he fully intended to pull his weight. He finally reached the trap door leading to the crow's nest and knocked, calling, "Black Leg, shish." Came a muffled reply through the door. Jinbei waited, curious at this response, before he heard Sanji follow up with a subtler, "Come in." He opened the trap door as quietly as possible and looked to the direction of Sanji's voice. He was not surprised to find the chef sat on a barrel by the window with a lit cigarette in hand. He was however surprised to see the archaeologist close by, asleep under a blanket with some folded sacks for a pillow. Jinbei asked Sanji quietly as he could in his gravelly voice so as not to disturb her, "Is there a reason Ms. Robin is not asleep in her chambers?" Sanji didn't respond right away but looked at Robin endearingly before giving Jinbei a sideways glance and replying flatly, "It's in use," then looked back out the window. Jinbei was usually a fish man of few words, but also an observant one. He knew Sanji was somewhat of a flirt, but had a special affection for Robin, and their navigator, Nami. He knew Robin and Nami normally shared bed chambers. And while Nami normally seemed happiest surrounded by her Nakama, Jinbei now knew she shared a special connection with their captain, Mugiwara Luffy. He had little doubt in his mind what the room was currently in use for. He understood why the chef might be particularly short with him. And now knowing Nami's past experience with fishmen, especially with Jinbei's own former crewmate Arlong, he couldn't blame him. There really is no smooth sailing when it comes to love. Jinbei had enough experience observing complicated relationships among his fellow fishmen, particularly his former first mate Aladdin. But what could he possibly say to his new crewmate that would make his mood any less sour? What did he know about easing a human male's broken heart? What would you say at a time like this, Fisher Tiger? Still speaking softly, Jinbei asked, "Shall I take over the shift then?" Though he had already half guessed what the chef's response would be indeed, Sanji just sat there, and took a puff of his cigarette before giving a fake casual response, without looking away from the window. "Nah, thanks Jinbei, I'm good. You get back to the cabin and get some more sleep. You'll need your strength at the helm tomorrow." Though he had half guessed this response, Jinbei was at a loss for how to follow up. He considered respecting Sanji's request and turning back, and yet, he realized that the chef and he didn't have the best of first meetings on Fishman Island. He certainly didn't expect them to become the best of friends overnight. But still, Jinbei had no wish to remain at odds with his new Nakama, even if the chef and the swordsman probably always would. Nor to just leave his crewmate troubled, not without trying to build a roof, or whatever that expression is humans use. He had one last idea that just might work. His face broke into a warm smile, as warm as his jagged-toothed maw could offer, as he spoke in a low gravelly voice, "Wait there, I'll be right back." Sanji looked back at Jinbei with a raised curled eyebrow, unsure how to respond as he already had no intention of leaving his spot by the window. Still he gave a cool nod and an, "All right," which was enough for Jinbei as he quietly headed for the trap door. 20 minutes later, being generous, Jinbei returned to the crow's nest and, as quietly as possible so as not to disturb Robin, pulled up a barrel next to Sanji whereupon he sat. Under his right arm, Jinbei was carrying 2 cups and a bottle of sake, Nothing that special, most of which in the flower capital had been consumed during the festivities, but still a good brand. What are we celebrating exactly? Sanji asked curiously. Whatever you feel like, Black Leg. Jinbei replied, his warm toothy smile staying exactly where it was. The end of one era. The beginning of a new. Not being eaten by a sea king yet. He gave a small chuckle. In spite of himself, Sanji chuckled back and replied, sure, why not? As he accepted a cup and the fresh poured sake. They held up full cups and quietly toasted, multiple times, to new beginnings, to finding the One Piece, to achieving their dreams, to Luffy and Nami, and the family they had built which would soon grow, and to not getting eaten by sea kings. Before long, the two were barely containing drunken laughter while Robin slept. They could not see the smile that danced on her lips, nor could they see the single tear drop she shed, for the O'Hara archaeologists, for Saul, for her new friends, and for that man, all of whom kept alive her belief in love. Where stories live. Discover now.